Hello there. In this episode, we will present you. Um, I created two, and Nikolai created three scenarios. How we would start an anime or manga. So let's find out how our stories will turn out. So I have made two stories. Which one would you like to start picking? I made one isekai story and one romance story. Which one would you prefer?
Let, let's start with the latter because I don't have any experiments or scenarios in that kind of regard.
So romance.
Yes.
Okay,
This is
for
my attention span. Didn't know what he said 30 seconds beforehand.
I just wanted to confirm. Um,
Sure.
in this story, I will try to voice a boy and a girl, so I hope you can um, see the difference when I'm trying to get the woman's voice, and I will also narrate something. So yeah, I try to change voices a little bit to fit the character that I'm speaking with. Yes, you know the drill, right?
Yes, he's trying to. Does not have a high pitch voice to make the male voice better. The female voice should be easy for him. Yes, I know.
Yes. So, our male MC is named Haru, and the girl is named Mio. Yeah, let's get started with the storyline. My name is Haru. I'm 28 years old. I have a job. I pay rent. I wake up too early. I go to work. I come home tired. Then I do it all again the next day. That's pretty much what being an adult is, right? At least that's what I thought. Because if you had me asked me 6 months ago, do you believe in love? I probably would have laughed and said, no, I don't believe in love. Um, I just didn't think it had anything to do with me. I wasn't looking for anyone, and no one was looking for me. Was what I'm thinking. So now I'm at the gym. The gym is almost empty. Machines hum quietly in the background, and I finished my set. I finally finished my set. I take my water bottle, I drink something. I have been going to the gym for 6 months now, have I? Mostly because I didn't know what else to do after work. Go home, watch TV, play video games? Nah, that would be boring. I need to work on myself. Now I walk to a bench. He's he stops. Someone is already using it. A woman, around his age, dark hair, tied back, headphones on, completely focused. Hadu looks around. Every other bench is occupied, and he sighs. Of course, the one time I actually needed this bench, someone is already there. Then he waits nearby. The woman finishes her set. She notices him. She removes one headphone. Were you waiting? Ah, yeah. Oh, sorry. Then she immediately stand up. No, it's fine. You sure? Yeah. She smiles slightly. Okay. And then she walks away after she's done with her set. That was my first conversation with her. It felt kinda awkward with her, but honestly, I liked her. 3 days later, time skip. Same gym, same time. Hardu walks inside. He looks around. then freezes. She's there again. Same headphones, same corner, same bench. Okay, so apparently I was wrong. He starts his workout. After a few minutes, Mio walks past him and she stops for him. Hey, Haru looks up. Hey, bench guy? Bench guy. You were waiting for the bench last time. Right. I'm Mio. Haru. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you too. She walks away again. Haru watches her for a second, then looks back at his weights. And that was it. We had officially introduced ourselves, which at the time felt completely insignificant, and it felt like a joke for him. Haru enters the gym. Hey, hey. Haru finishes a set. How many? 3. 3? Yeah. You look like you barely survived too. Oh, thanks, I guess. And then they walk past each other. Good luck. Thank you, you too. It was strange. We weren't friends, not really, we just knew each other. But somehow, every time I walked into the gym, I started looking for her. Because we only didn't know each other, and I really liked her for some reason. Should it have been fate? One rainy evening. Heavy rain hits the windows. Haru finishes his workout. He grabs his bag and heads outside. He stops. Seriously? He forgot his umbrella. Everyone else leaves, except Mio. She's standing near the entrance. She looks at him, then at the rain, then back at him. You forgot yours too? Apparently. Where do you live? And then Haru tells her where he lives. And Mio looks surprised because she looks nearby. That's my direction. Then she opens her umbrella. Come on. Haru hesitates. Are you sure? Unless you want to stand here until tomorrow. Fair enough. Then, under the umbrella, they walk for a while. Neither says anything. The sound of rain fills the silence. So, what do you actually do? At work? Yeah, it. Oh? Is that disappointed? Oh? No, she laughs. I just thought you'd say something more interesting. Oh, this was the woman. Wow. What about you? Ah, fuck. Architecture? Haru looks at her. Seriously? Yeah. So you're actually doing something useful? Exactly. Great. Now I feel bad about myself. They both begin to laugh. That was the first time we actually talked, not for just a few seconds, but for a further while. Not just between sets, we were just talking casually like normal people. And it was the start of something. They reach the entrance. Mio closes her umbrella. This is me. Right. There's an awkward pause. See you tomorrow. Haru smiles. Yeah. She turns around, walks away. Haru watches her disappear into the station. I stood there for a moment, and for the first time, I wondered something. Does she like me? Could this become something? I wonder what she's like outside the gym. Yes, and that's my first story. What do you think of my first story?
I don't comment on the allegations. Let's say it like that.
I know what you're thinking, but I had a hard time creating something like a romance. I mean,
Yes.
I tried to make it natural, like normal human beings would be talking to each other, you know?
You know that I tried writing. I know how hard it is.
Yes, yes. I tried my best, I have to say.
You should have looked for more settings that you're more comfortable with. Or more animated manga shows, because besides that they both forgot their umbrella, I would say not your comfort zone. And you can
Yes,
see that.
yes, I think so. I'm not going to
That
the
should
gym,
have helped.
so I can't go any further with gym and stuff, you know. Like, I don't know what's being talked in the gym. If I had experience in the gym, maybe I could talk more about this.
You should have you should have done going to uni, drinking some coffee somewhere and stuff. That
Yeah,
would be better.
yes.
Plus, I thought we were going to write beginnings for anime or manga, not a light novel.
Yeah, okay, that's true.
It
Yeah, I
would have
don't know.
also helped if you third person perspective as a narrator. That would have been better.
Yes.
That's what I'm more trying.
Okay,
Because
yeah.
writing from first person is a bit more hard.
It is, yes.
That's the biggest upside of novel. That's why I like slow novels like Eminence Shadow, where hearing sits fast is kind of hilarious. But you
Hmm.
need to think out those thoughts way more detailed unless you write third person.
Yes, yes. But it was actually tough to just focus in 10 minutes, so like, yeah, to bring it all up into 10 seconds because I wrote some more, but I had to scrap some things and stuff because, yeah, I don't want to make this episode like 60 minutes long for just my part, you know?
Yes, I thought when you're saying that we do this, I thought you were narrating basic plot points, not 10 pages of a novel. That would have also helped. You will
Yeah,
see when I talk about stuff.
yes.
Because your few pages, there's barely nothing in it. It's also a problem.
Mm,
If you would translate it, would just been 5 or 10 minutes of anime.
yeah,
Like watching Smoky Bait in the supermarket. It gives me kind of that vibe of it.
true, true. Like a mini
Short
episode,
slice of
yes,
life
yes.
mini episode, yes.
Then should I go on to my isekai story?
Yes.
And this one I will narrate what he's thinking, like his speech bubbles and what this guy says, and obviously some side characters that's being in there. Yeah, you will get it, I think. My name is Len. I am 19 years old. I'm not special. I'm not a genius. I'm not some famous athlete. And unfortunately, I'm not secretly the strongest person in the world either. I'm just a normal guy with no magic, no special abilities. I'm just a normal guy going to university. I have a part-time job. I watch anime. I read manga. I have friends. Always the same routine every day. Honestly, I was pretty happy with my life. It wasn't exciting, but it it fitted me. And then one night everything changed. Ren lies on his bed, scrolling through his phone on social media. I remember that night pretty clearly. I was lying in bed, it was around midnight. I had university the next morning. I knew I should sleep, but obviously I didn't. Just one more episode, please. I need to find out how this ends. Okay, then I will go to sleep now. Black screen. And then I woke up. Len opens his eyes. Leaves move above him. Birds he doesn't recognize can be heard, and he slowly sits up. What? He looks around. Trees? Grass? Moonlight? No buildings? No road? No people? Where the am I? He stands, looks around again. Okay, this isn't my room. And, of course, I checked my phone. It had no signal, obviously. I tried calling someone, and, of course, nothing happened. I tried searching on Google Maps where I am. No location found. And then I looked around again. That's when I noticed something. There were two moons in the sky. Oh, oh no. I knew exactly what this looked like. I'd watched enough anime, I'd read enough manga, I'd seen enough people get hit by trucks to know where this was going. I had been transported to another world. An isekai. Ren raises his hand. Statues! Statues! Nothing happened. Open menu! Nothing happened. Skill! Nothing happened. Magic! Nothing happened. He stared at his hand and was slightly confused. So I'm not even getting the cheat ability? Ah, sucks. No status screen, no magical powers, no legendary weapon, no mysterious goddess, nothing. Apparently, I had somehow managed to get isekai'd without receiving the main character benefits. How should I survive this isekai world without any skills, abilities, weapons, or magic? A scream in the nearby distance. Len freezes. What was that? Another scream, then another. Orange light appears between the trees. Fire? He starts running. Len emerges from the forest. A village is burning. People are running through the streets. Someone is shouting. Children are crying. Len stands frozen. I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know where I was. But I knew one thing. Someone needed help. Len sees a little girl sitting outside a burning house. Hey! He runs toward her. Come on, we have to get you out of here. He reaches for her hand. She pulls away. Len stops. The girl is staring at him. Her face is pale. She's terrified. What's wrong? The girl doesn't answer. She keeps staring at him. Then she whispers, Why are you pretending to be alive? Len stares at her. What? The girl backs away. Wait! What do you mean? She doesn't answer. Instead, she runs away. I didn't understand at all, but before I could follow her, someone grabbed my shoulder. Len turns around. An old man is staring at him. His expression changes. Shock, fear, then tears. No! Uh, the old man takes a step closer. Impossible! Do I know you? The old man doesn't answer. He keeps staring at Len's face. You came back? The old man starts shaking. After 200 years, Len's expression changes. 200? I thought he was confused. I thought maybe he had mistaken me for someone else. That would have made sense, except he wasn't the only one. Len sits inside a small house. The old man places an old book on the table. He opens it. Inside is a drawing. A young man. My face is in there. Same face, same eyes, same body, everything is the same. That's me. No, he points at the drawing. That was him. Who? The old man looks at him. The first wanderer. Apparently 200 years ago, someone appeared in this world. Someone from another world. Someone who looked exactly like me. He became a legendary warrior. He ended a war. He saved an entire kingdom. People built statues of him. They wrote books about him. They even worshipped him. And then he disappeared. So, you're telling me there's someone who looks exactly like me? Not someone. The old man looks directly at Len. You. Len laughs nervously. Okay, that's impossible, you know? Len flips through old books. I spent the entire night searching. Maybe there was an explanation. Maybe I had some long lost ancestor. Maybe this world had magic that could explain everything. But the more I searched, the worse it got. So, I think that's about it for the starting of the isekai.
Same as before, and it's clear as day. Allegations are obvious.
Nah,
But
genuinely.
but at least I know that you modified some things with your own knowledge. That's better. So a big progress. There are some tropes and things that we actually know, which also fit an anime setting.
Yes, yes,
But you fumbled what is important for Isekai. You don't know that much about the world. You need to know at least a bit
yes, yes, true, true.
from the beginning, because that makes the Isekai important. It's probably medieval fantasy world, but we are not sure right now.
Yeah,
That's important as well.
yes, it is. Maybe I should have gone after the forest that he looks at the houses and then explains in his mind.
If the house, little village that you think that he's either time transported or being isekai in an RPG setting.
Yes,
Yes, you could probably guess it because of the status stuff and all, but most of what you've told would also work when he's in a sci-fi isekai, for example.
yeah,
But it's probably obvious that it's a fantasy, but still in a novel you should flesh those things out if you're writing stuff yourself.
hmm,
Because that's the greatest strength when you try to write a novel. The devil is in the details.
yes.
Some small descriptions can make some big differences.
Here again, I had a tough time to squeeze it into just 10 minutes.
Sure.
Yes, yes. But yeah, I should have, yeah, more world building. Yeah, I should have done more world building.
You shouldn't have again tried to write a novel, but just presenting bullet points.
Yeah,
So to summarize the stuff that happens in like the first one or two manga volumes, or the first 3 or 4 anime episodes, or like the first 50 pages of a novel.
yes.
That's why I can't comment that much. Because of A, the allegations, and B, there isn't that much, unfortunately.
Yeah, but
That's, that's what I try to do in my part, to give more flesh.
yes, I tried to go for the I create an anime route, but
Yeah.
I found out that it's tough to create something like an anime manga story.
A light novel you created. Not an
Yes,
anime story, let's be real.
yes, yes.
That's why the allegations are quite clear. But I'm not to judge. I know myself how hard writing is.
It
I
is.
tried before and quit. That's why I become a reader nowadays, because I still love stories.
Mm. Yes, and with that, I think we can go on to your part.
Yes. So before we start talking about how my stuff should start, I want to talk about beginnings in general, because the word beginning is, well, it's nothing. A beginning can be a page, a few pages like you had, an anime episode, a manga chapter, a manga volume. It can be a prologue if you want, it can be a first act of a story. Beginnings can vary. For example, you know Vinland Saga, right?
Mm-hmm.
How long do you think the beginning of Vinland Saga is?
Ooh, I don't know.
Do you think it's the first episode? Do you think it's until Thor dies? Or is it the first
Mm.
season?
I
All
think the first season.
all answers can be correct, Tom. Because the first season is the prologue, yes, but the narrative beginning and where everything is kicked into gear can be after Thor's death and when Thorfinn joined Escalade. So that's why the term beginning can be varied.
Mm.
Also, you can say, okay, then to make it more even, let's just use 10% of the story. Yeah, then One Piece and Lord of Mysteries comes around. One Piece with its 1,000+ manga chapters, and Lord of Mysteries with its, is it 1,600 book chapters? And web novel chapters, or Shadow Slave, which has over 2,000 web novel chapters. That does also not work. So you need to check
Crazy.
from story to story where the beginning is, what the beginning is narratively, until everything is kinda explained and kinda put in motion. That's what I classify as a beginning. For example, the beginning in One Piece is also quite long. I would say the series really started when we got to the Grand Line. The rest was also more so prologue, because after that the world got more and more established. But what would I do for my first beginning? My first beginning is the most, let's say, average beginning, because it's kinda needs to be. Because I want to do one trick, which is hard to pull off. Because I want to surprise the reader in the beginning and have kind of a twist. But the problem is, most anime or manga stories are already having a. They try to make a twist in the beginning, and that's a problem. Because think about how every shonen starts. There's always a twist in the first chapter, because the first chapter needs to bang and people need to read it, right?
Mm.
There's kind of a twist, kind of something happening, or the MC is getting forced into the narrative. Like Chainsaw Man, for example, Denji gets backstabbed. Dun da dun. The twist is, oh, the supernatural stuff is real and stuff. The list can go on and on. That's why I think my story kinda starts out normal. Nothing big is happening in the first episode. It's like a night novel story or a power fantasy manga story, where you just go to magic school normally. And there we can start to flesh out the characters, the school system, the magic system. We can even have our light novel dungeon in the school, or something where students need to work to. But to make the magic system cooler, we also rip off Witch Hat's magic system, obviously, because that's the best and coolest. And after a few chapters and episodes, everything is probably explained, there will come an unhinged twist. I have this idea copied from a quite under the radar show, I would say. Do you know which show I'm talking about, or should I tell you what it is?
Tell me.
It's the Reign of the Seven Spellblades. I think the anime was airing a few years ago. It's basically, oh, we are at Harry Potter school, and we fight with spells. And the MC goes normally to school, integrates into school, there's a dungeon which can people explore, a lot of people die, all of the normal stuff. Nothing too deep. But then after a few chapters in the novel, we get the ulterior motive of the MC out of nowhere because we are lured into a false sense of security. The MC actually wants to murder all of the school teachers because they murdered his mom. Not the biggest twist, yes, but I think this twist hits because it just comes out of nowhere. No build up. We have a normal chill setting, and out of nowhere it just came. Because you can hint at twists, but to hint at twists you need long and good writing, and it's kind of meh if you start an episode and hint at a twist, or start a show and hint at a twist and already make that twist come through. You need build up for that. That's why I want to start my show normal and then punch the people in the face out of nowhere. I mean, you can also take other settings. You don't need to make my hypothetical or more ripped magic quiz system. That's the first idea. What do you think about it?
Mm, yes, yes. I think this what's it called? This trope? Is it a trope?
It's not a trope. I want to start with tropes and use the tropes to bait the people to think they know what's going to happen, but they actually don't. You can call it
Yes,
subversion of expectations.
yes. But it sounded like something that's already been there and a story, yeah, that
Yes, the
sounds
idea
reproducible.
the ideas is obviously from a story, it's already there.
Mm,
I started reading the novel again, that's why I'm using it as an example.
okay.
You can also use, for example, to do it in a bad way. It's Star Wars Episode 8. It's not in the beginning, but there's a terrible subversion of expectation. There a big random reader randomly dies without reason.
Yes.
But I think it's good to do it in the beginning because then the reader is still excited about the story because they thought they figured out what will be happening in the story, but they don't. And maybe because of that, they will continue to read further. Who knows?
Could be nice. Could be nice.
You also have kind of the same experience that you thought, okay, I've watched like 5 or 6 episodes, I know what the show is going to do, and then bam, there came a twist out of nowhere.
Yeah, of course. Everyone knows that.
Yes, that's the idea.
Mm, yeah, okay. That's a good thing. If there's something happening that you don't expect.
Yes. And I try to use a tropey beginning, like the magic school stuff, because then the people think, okay, I know what's going to happen. I saw that 1,000 times.
Mm,
Because do you think when you watch an isekai or a power fantasy show? No. You just consume it.
yeah.
Like fast food.
Yes.
It's not that deep.
Yes.
But then it actually gets more deep or something happens. That's the trick.
Mm,
It's a cheap trick, but hey, it can work.
it can for sure. Yeah.
Should I go on or do you have anything
Yes.
else?
Nope. Go on.
Okay. My second one. Today I want to talk about a narrative device. I want to start my story in medias res. Do you know what that is?
Uh, nope.
You know it, but you probably don't know the term. When you start a story at a certain point and then go back in time. So when you start in the future and then the way to that future point is being told in the story.
Ah, okay.
And because of that, you can hint at certain facts. For example, it's kind of done in Berserk. Berserk begins normal, Guts is hunting demons and stuff. And then there's a sacrifice towards the God Hand where someone wants to become an apostle. Then the God Hand is summoned. And in the God Hand, we see Griffith, already evil. And Guts is hating Griffith's guts, obviously for reasons. And then we go to the Golden Age flashback. Or not flashback, go back in time because Golden Age is a giga long arc. And then we see how Guts and Griffith become friends. But we still have in our head, is that evil Griffith guy that Guts hates the guts of? That was a good one, right?
Mm.
So we can tease something with that. And now, this one is the only time this would happen ever in this podcast. because I need to say something good about Boruto. Where in the beginning it's teased that Boruto is becoming a, how's it called again? A rogue ninja who left that village, and normally rogue ninjas are evil. That's the first shot how the anime starts. And then you think to yourself, okay, how is this going to happen when you see him as a child, as a normal student? So if you want to start a story in medias res, you need to tease something big or tease something, and then you need to build a way to it.
Mm.
But it shouldn't be too obvious, because the problem is when you do that, and it's clear as day why something is happening after like a few manga chapters or episodes, then it's kind of not that good. You need to bait it. In general, working with different times is rather hard, and it's not that often done in anime and manga, besides flashbacks, obviously.
Mm.
If
Yes.
you if you want to have a Western example, I think the best one is Nolan, where the story isn't told, where most of the stories aren't told in a straight timeline. They are different timelines always. And I think that's what I want to do in my story. And to show that in the beginning, it's in medias res. That's the goal. And I think an approach for that is probably best suited for a seinen or more story focused story. That was not a good one. But in a story where narrative is more important and not aura farming and fights. I mean, it could also work in a battle show, but I think the seinen is better for that.
Yes, probably.
You could also do, for example, when we are in Oppenheimer starts like it, that we are in court and people talk about the building of an atomic bomb, and then we see how the bomb was built, stuff like that. You could do that. Let's take Black Clover, for example. Do you remember the scene where Asta was in Magic Court?
Uh,
Where the Black Bulls crashed it. It was after the Elf arc, I think.
yeah, 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 yeah.
We could start Black Clover with this scene, and then he could tell why he is in court and stuff, what actually happens, and stuff like this.
Mm.
This could be in Prot, for example. I think you should get it now.
Yes.
What do you think of this stylistic device? Starting a story in medias res.
Um, yeah, it can be cool, but it's honestly actually a huge spoiler, and therefore it kinda is meh for me. For example, in if you do it like in the Quints, where it's a mystery, but you know someone marries over MC, then I think it's fine.
Yes, you even need to pose an interesting question like in the Quints, or like in Berserk, you need to make a way towards it really compelling.
Yes.
If you don't achieve either of them, it does not work, and it is a spoiler, like you said. Yes, that is
Mm.
correct. Should I go on with the last one?
You can go on, yes.
The last one is something that we've also talked in your part a bit. It's world building, and this is more for novels, isekais, or fantasy stuff. Because when you write a beginning, it's hard to flesh out the characters fast, especially if they have multiple. But what is easy is to show glimpses of your world and your systems in that world. Those can also draw people in. Witchhead is a great example. Lord of Mysteries is a great example. And basically, most of the isekais. Because we talked about already. What is the most interesting part of the isekai? It's the beginning, when the MC is being transported to another world. We see how he interacts with that world, what systems are in play, what races are there, and stuff.
Mm.
And after we've mostly figured that out, Isekai gets boring. And do you know what is completed after the MC figured that out and learned how the world works? Right, the beginning of basically every isekai mostly. So that's why it's important. A better shown example for this is actually Gachakuta. For how to flesh out a world in the beginning. Cause in my research I thought, huh, Gachakuta is kinda like an isekai if you think about it.
Yeah,
Cause
yeah.
Rudy is getting thrown into another world, which is completely new to him, in which he explores completely new aesthetics, rules, fighting systems, power systems, and a compelling world to claw through this way and get back to his old world. It's like the people who get transported in Isekai and have their goal, okay, but I want to go back to my old world. It's kinda similar.
Mm.
And to make the world interesting, you can have some approaches. You can make the world A really interesting. Great examples are Gachik just mentioned, Dore Doro, or Witch Hat. Because those worlds are either designed really cool, like Gachakuta or Dore Doro, or they have really cool or weird systems. Like Witch Hat has a cool spell system, Doro as well, Doro. It's probably one of the weirdest worlds ever. And you want to know how that does that world function. And to know how a world functions, well, you need to continue reading the story. And if you continue to read the story after the beginning, then the beginning has done its job. Or you can flood everyone with lore, like Lord of Mysteries does. And in the anime, it's kind of disorienting, but you still want to know more because it's cool, it's deep, it's interesting. The powers are very unique and confusing. And in the novel, there's even more stuff explained. It's like you probably don't know this scene. Do you know when Doctor Strange used in Doctor Strange 1 Magic for the first time? When there was this physical spectacle where it looks like a drug trip.
Oh yeah,
Basically, that
yeah.
scene. That scene is when you start to read or get into a really well fleshed out world in the beginning. You want to know everything. I mean, you can also use One Piece as an example. One Piece's biggest strength is still its world building. How deeply fleshed out the world is, and that we learn every time we go to a new island, see new characters, we learn something new about the world. What do you think about this approach to bind people towards the story?
I think it is probably the best of them that you presented, and it sounds like something that I would watch
It,
probably.
it's
Uh,
also the most probably with which we had the most experience because you watch a lot of isekais, you're a big One Piece fan.
yeah,
So I thought this would also be what you say in the end.
yes. But I think the others were also good, but this one is just the best, in my opinion, that you presented.
Yes, in the end, all of my things are just theoretical approaches, and you need to see the story in which they fit in.
Yes.
Because you can use the cool stylistic wise to start a story in a cool way, but if the rest of the story is dog shit, then it's still dog shit. It doesn't. The fact that he used a cool stylistic wise doesn't change that. Sadly, though. That's why I refrain from try to write more direct stories and just
Mm.
try to make a toolbox how to start a story. And with that, I would say we both have different approaches, which makes the episode more. How is the word called? More diverse. That's the word.
Yes.
You have a direct approach, try to write something, and I made a toolbox. And with that, do you have anything else?
Um, no.
Do you want to know what will happen in the next episode?
Yes, tell me.
Quite simple. We are doing something like either or questions.
Okay.
We are doing questions. We are searching out questions for the other where he has to decide and between things. It can be either readings like let's give one example. Either having anime that are faithful towards the manga, even though the art looks like trash, or continue to have a lottery where trash manga can look good. You know what show I'm getting at. Or you can do
No,
Kiss Mary Kill. Whatever you want.
I'm down for both. So I don't know.
I mean with you can search out whatever question you like. There just needs to be a decision between at least two things.
Yes.
Whatever you want to do, you can do it. That's up for you
Hmm.
to decide.
What would be more fun to you?
No, I mean you can do what either or questions and Kiss Mary Kill questions. That's what I want to get at.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
If you
okay.
want to do both, do both. If you have good questions for me, then do whatever question you want. You're free to choose.
Okay. Yes.
I think we will hear you next episode.
Yes. Until then, have a good time.
Bye.
Bye.